Welcome to the Reverse Diabetes Podcast, where we bring you real conversations, real hope, and real solutions for type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. I'm your host, Dr. Beverly Yates, ND, a licensed naturopathic doctor and blood sugar expert. Each week, I sit down with trusted medical professionals and health leaders to share insights, strategies, and stories to help you reverse type 2 diabetes naturally and live your healthiest life. So, if you're ready to feel better in your body, to boost your energy, to take control of your blood sugar, lower that A1C, and finally move forward with confidence, you're in the right place. Welcome. Hi, Dr. Jenny Tufenkian. Welcome to the Reverse Diabetes Podcast. I'm delighted to be able to host you here and to find out more about your work and your purpose. And so, everyone, please meet Dr. Jenny. She's a wonderful colleague. She is a naturopathic physician like myself, and we are united in our goals around helping people live healthier lives. So, Dr. Jenny, what would you like to share with us today on this podcast episode? Can you give us a little taste, a thumbnail of what we're going to cover?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Beverly Yates, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here talking with you. I love your commitment and passion with this work, and I know we do share that indeed. So I would love to dive into that feeling that so many of us feel, which is tired, and talk about what does that tiredness mean, and when do you pay attention to it? What can you do about it? I know that you work with your clients and do deep dives with helping get their blood sugar regulated, which is amazing. And that can be a huge thing in terms of getting your energy up. But what else is there? You know, in my work, what I've been dedicating my career and my life to is helping people who struggle with complex chronic fatigue, with long COVID, with chronic fatigue syndrome, myalgic encephalitis. It has a lot of different names right now. And, and I always talk about my patients and clients can talk about tired like wine sommeliers talk about wine. There are all different kinds of tired. So I thought
Right?
it'd be fun if we dove in and we talked about what are those what are the first notes, the end notes? I'm clearly not a wine person. What are the
I hear you, but I get that, right? What you're saying is there's nuance. The details
Yeah,
matter. And when you're trying to
exactly.
help someone with their health, and particularly if the crux of the problem is their energy or lack thereof, you have
Yeah.
to be able to help them tease apart like what happened first, what does it mean, and then where can we offer treatments or course corrections? You know, like you said, is it a cause for concern or is it normal? And I use normal in quotes here because I think it's not
Yeah,
even
yeah,
normal these days. I think it's typical.
yeah, yeah. Normal, yeah, typical more than normal. I would totally agree with that. Yeah, and how you feel the tired, like what the tired feels like, is a clue. It's a clue to what that root cause might be as to why your energy is being drained.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit more because it
Sure.
sounds like what I'm hearing you say is people have a certain fundamental or foundational level of energy and something's
Mm,
draining it. Something's literally
mhm,
causing it to ooze away or,
mhm,
maybe pour
mhm,
away, depending on how
mhm,
quickly they feel like
mhm,
they are depleted or lacking in
mhm,
energy. What's
mhm.
your experience been? How do people typically recognize something is not right with my energy?
I think that by the time people come to see me, they've often seen lots of other practitioners and have been on this path for a while by the time they come to see me. And what I would really love is for us to all have a better understanding of what we should be feeling like. And then if you're not feeling like that, then it's time to get attention to figure out what is causing that fatigue. People usually come to me because they've been really tired. They're not able to function normally in their life, and they're beginning to feel scared, and they're beginning to feel scared about what they're trying isn't working. Their doctors are saying your labs look normal, you look great, I can't tell what's wrong, I'm sorry. And they're coming to me for more answers to kind of, like look under the hood and figure out what's really going on here. So that's what we do when we're working together. And I think that there's a lot of value in terms of being able to differentiate what different kinds of tired are. But to your point, like what is normal, we should have energy. You should wake up with energy in the morning. You should have energy all day. And there are normal times in a circadian rhythm where your energy may come down. And that should be just by engaging in something different or taking a short rest or a break. it should come back. That energy should come back. That I have to lie down after lunch, that I'm so exhausted. I just, I don't even want to go to the party. I just want to stay home. That's not normal. And a lot of people start doing this subconscious or even conscious thing that I call energy budgeting, where they start thinking, oh, I only have so much energy. So if I go to this birthday party, then I may not get my work done. So I better say no to the birthday party so I can just work. And a lot of my people end up in this grind where they really only have energy to do the basics, the basic parenting, the basic work, that kind of thing. And then they're just exhausted. And that's usually when they start saying, like, I don't think this is normal. And yet, because this culture is so obsessed with the go, go, go attitude, a lot of people feel very guilty about this and they think it's their fault. They think they're being lazy. They think if I just got to the gym, if I just ate a salad, if I just did this, then maybe I would have more energy and it's all my fault. Whereas actually there are what I found in my work, there are 5 root causes that can be serious energy drainers for people who are struggling with this complex fatigue.
Yeah, so please, let us know what are these 5 causes, because I think people will feel seen and heard and recognized, or as they're listening to this, they may know someone else who could benefit from hearing your wisdom and your pearls, your insights here, because I think that this is probably on the category of various things that affect our health. I think energy and fatigue are some of the most misunderstood and
Mm-hmm.
underdiagnosed. And people
Mm-hmm.
often get ghosted and told, oh, you're making that up, or it's some kind of secondary gain, or it's all in your head, etc., as if it weren't real, because this has
Yeah.
real impacts. People wind up not living the life they want to live, right? It's not like they're trying to be exhausted, they are. So please tell us,
Yeah.
what are these 5 steps?
Yeah. Yeah. So the five root causes, one is looking at that hypothalamic pituitary axis, that adrenal function piece. And there's a thing called the hormone triangle, which I don't know if you've talked about it here, but it's something we've learned in naturopathic school, where there are these hormones. There's the adrenal, the thyroid, and the ovaries for female and the testes for male. And that triangle is a symphony. It likes to work together. And if one is out of tune, the other will go out of tune to match and support it. And this is what I call the gateway root cause into fatigue, because we're so much on the stress express in this culture that it is really easy to just burn yourself through. And I don't know about you, but being a mom and going through medical school, it was sort of a setup.
That's a lot, right? Like, talk about being tapped out. You're calling it the stress express. I'm calling it a cortisol nation. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
cortisol nation, totally excellent term for it. Absolutely. And this dysregulates your blood sugar. I mean, this is what, you're
Yep.
all about. This piece becomes the part where your blood sugar is dysregulated because your stress response is dysregulated, and it can become this vicious cycle. That's one. That's called the gateway root cause. The other one is looking at mitochondrial function. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells, and those mitochondria are so amazing and they are so vulnerable. They have these incredible different in this inner membrane that is very, very sensitive to so many things that are in our world right now, the toxins, the chemicals, the mycotoxins, the viruses, all those kinds of things. So we look at mitochondrial function. I'll talk about that more because some of these root causes interface with each other. The third root cause is looking at viral infections. So viruses, most people think of, oh, I just get a cold or I get the flu or I get COVID and I'm over it. Well, now we know from this long COVID picture that that is not the case. We have this microbiome of these microbes that are part of us. We also have a virome. We have a viral pool that is in us all the time. And that viral pool will wax and wane depending on what's going on in your body. And those viruses love it when we are just a little bit stressed out or exhausted, or really stressed out and exhausted, because they will start to literally suck your energy so that they can grow and grow, and they end up becoming this huge population in your body, and they can make you very, very tired. So one of the classic things we see are people have Epstein-Barr virus or cytomegalovirus or herpes 6 virus. These are all in the herpes family, and they are classically known to get reactivated under times of stress. Those are the people who I've I never felt well since I had that really challenging childbirth. I never felt well since I had that motor vehicle accident.
Mhm.
And it's this kind of this fatigue that just lands in your body. So this is extremely common to have a viral infection. And of course, we've seen with COVID, we see long COVID. And so this is where the long COVID impacts people in different ways, and it's a very interesting virus. I mean, it's you think you're going this way, and then it takes a sharp left turn. It's a very tricky one to work with when people are dealing with chronic long COVID, and yet there are things that we can do to get that body back into balance when we have long COVID and COVID itself will turn on some of these other viruses. So some people with long COVID, they just have a reactivated Epstein-Barr virus or cytomegalovirus, and that's why they're so tired. It's not everybody, but there's a big population that that's the case. The fourth thing that we look at are toxins. So whether they're heavy metals, glyphosates, mycotoxins from molds. There are so many things in our world. We have been very creative with all the different things that we've built. We've taken stuff out of the center of the earth and put it out there for us to look at, the big shiny buildings and cars, and they're all emitting these metals that our bodies aren't used to having so much exposure to. So that toxic load has a big, big impact and can really, really drain your energy. And then the fifth is looking at this limbic emotional connection, the subconscious mind connected to the vagus nerve. There's this beautiful nerve called the vagus nerve. It's the one nerve that leaves the brain and comes and wanders, vagus for wandering, comes down and interacts with all of the different organs in your body. And this nerve is picking up information. It's like the data source. It's picking up information from your digestive system, from your lungs, from your liver, and it's sending information back up to your brain, up to your subconscious mind. And information is also going from your mind down to your body through your vagus nerve. It's a two-way street. And a lot of people, when we've had trauma, which most of us have had some kind of trauma, it can be generational trauma, it can be trauma from our lifestyle, from our life, that gets stuck in that subconscious mind. And we start perceiving more things as being dangerous than safe as a way of surviving. And when the body gets more oriented towards danger, even just an illness itself can trigger that danger response in people. Mitochondrial dysfunction itself can trigger that danger response in people. It starts to become this vicious cycle. Then we get this incredible down shifting of our whole immune system, endocrine system. The whole body begins to shift when that brain goes into that survival state, when that limbic brain gets turned on. And I usually find people have 1, 2, 3, or all 5 of those root causes when they're dealing with complex fatigue.
That totally makes sense. I hear what you're saying about that. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about my experiences clinically and just my own experiences as a human being. And I'm hearing an element here that I want to bring forward and we can have more discussion about because I think it will serve the audience right to unpack this. And that's around the concept of a reset. Blood
Mm.
sugar, when we go to sleep at night, has the opportunity each and every night, with sleep being that healing, wonderful opportunity. It's a blessing to be able
Yeah.
to sleep. Your blood sugar can reset. So wherever it was at before you went to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, if you have healthy blood sugar control, healthy
Yeah.
glycemic
Yeah.
control, it's
Right.
going to come back to a good, healthy number, probably
Yeah.
somewhere between 70, 75 to 90, 95, 99, right? Like in that
Mhm.
range. Ideally in the
Mhm.
80s, but hey, we'll take it. 70 to 99, let's say, for a fasting morning blood sugar number, right? Don't want it too low. You certainly don't want it too high. And if you miss that reset window, you get another opportunity the next night when you go to bed. Now, having said that, with energy, I remember a little bit ago, earlier in the podcast, you were talking about energy and reset. So, what happens for people when that gets corrupted?
Mhm.
Because, as you're talking about these 5 root causes, and for people who are struggling with their energy, what I'm hearing is they're not having a chance to reset, to recover.
Mhm.
Maybe they're
Mhm.
being driven by subconscious ways in which their body is responding to prior traumas or perhaps an
Mhm.
ongoing trauma, God forbid. How can they recognize if this is part of the issue, they're not getting a reset? And then what should they be looking for? Because what I'm hearing is I don't know that there's really lab tests to objectively assess this, which might be
Mhm.
part of the reason why some people experience so much stigma and disdain. They are not taken seriously and far
Mhm.
too often, which isn't
Mhm.
right. But meanwhile, I want to help
Mhm.
people be advocates for themselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
Before we continue with today's discussion, I want to take a moment to share something that could really support your journey. Struggling to lower your blood sugar or wondering what to eat next? You're not alone, and you don't have to figure it out on your own. Be sure to download your free copy of the Guide to the Yates Protocol, 5 Steps to Fix Your Blood Sugar and Reverse Type 2 Diabetes Naturally, to take the confusion out of your next steps and help you get real results. Download it now using the link in the description and start feeling more confident, more energized, and more in control of your health starting today.
Yeah, I think you raised two really good points there. In terms of the reset happens the same time as your blood sugar. It should happen at nighttime when we sleep, when we rest. That should be one of the times when you recharge your energy. And so many things happen when we sleep. That whole cortisol diurnal system resets. I mean, there's so much that happens at that time. You get the lymphatic washing through your brain of the toxins leaving your brain and going through your body. So you detoxify in your brain. And so you don't get the brain inflammation that is brain fog. If you have brain fog, you have brain inflammation. So much happens there. But yes, so what's happened? So if you're waking up tired, that's a sign that something needs to be looked at. Now, the first thing your primary care doctor is going to say is, well, maybe we'll do a sleep study. You might have sleep apnea, and that may be it. If you do have sleep apnea and you're doing something with, and you're getting that addressed, and you still are waking up tired, there's something else going on. There's something that needs to be looked at. And this is the number one thing I'd say. We shouldn't be waking up tired. That's not normal. And you should have tired, and you should have energy in your day. I'd say the other thing that's kind of a subtle thing that people don't realize. I Years ago, I had my first really big experience with having myalgic encephalitis, chronic fatigue myself when I was in medical school, and had a very severe bout of illness where I had to take a year out. I was in bed with
Wow.
IVs in my arm. People thought I was going to die. I was like very sick. And as I was recovering from that, I remember going to one of my amazing therapists and saying something about, this is before I had the label of chronic fatigue on me. And she said something about, I said, I'm tired. And she goes, well, I'm tired too. So like I'm tired too, like whatever.
She didn't
And,
hear
and
what you had to say at all.
she didn't, and she's like, there's a different kind of tired when you have this, where you don't know, you don't trust that you're going to get that reset. You don't know if it's going to come. It usually doesn't come, and you don't know if it's going to come. Every once in a while, you're blessed with a morning where you wake up and you feel good, or you take an amazing nap and you feel great afterwards. And you're like, good, I kicked it. But it comes back. And that's the thing. That's the piece. If that's you, then you need to get some support to look at what are those root causes, what else is going on, because that's not normal. And to your point of getting ghosted in the doctor's office, I always think this, like, you walk into a physician's office and you say, I'm tired. And in their head, they're going, oh, honey, this is like, I'm on hour like 27 on this shift. You want to talk to me about tired? Okay. We'll run some labs. And then, yes, there's no test to test if you have myalgic encephalitis or long COVID. It's based on a set of symptom pictures and clusters. And the conventional system is not set up that way. It hates these vague, don't fit in the box, can't do a test, can't give you a treatment, can't retest you type of thing. It's challenging for that conventional system to address it well.
Yeah, definitely. That system is not set up to be nimble and adjust to what's the circumstances on the ground, right? You have a big illness that hits the world's population via a pandemic for COVID, and
Yeah.
then you have consequences, sequelae, as a result of that,
Yeah.
which could absolutely be expected because viral illnesses that affect human health usually have a tail. They
Yeah.
have a trail and a tail of things that they leave us with. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's not a new idea either. But being able to
No.
quantify it is a whole nother thing. And then to get the insurance company's blessing, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's about
Yeah.
disease management, not caring for health. It's completely
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear
But we're
you.
here to change that. We're here to change that. And
Absolutely. So give us the
because
good news.
yeah, I know it really is the good news, because there's so much about this where it's taking the power of your health and back into your own hands. And as challenging as these conditions are that don't fit into the neat, tidy boxes, and as challenging as can be when you go to your conventional practitioner, the truth is it is such an opportunity to understand yourself in a whole new way. I have people who, when we're working together, there's a certain point where like the lights turn on and they're like, oh, I've been doing this thing like my whole life, and that's been not good for my health. And I didn't even realize that until I got this condition. And so now I know that there's going to be this whole better way of being me in the world. And that's the exciting thing that I see when I see, when you really address your health and take ownership of this beautiful being that you are, then you can be in this empowered self-care and your life is totally different.
Yeah, in a good way, right? You have a chance to
Totally.
refresh, renew, reset, and take
Exactly.
stock. And have you experienced this? Tell me, with your own experience with your patients and clients, that when people are in that place, like they turn that corner,
Yeah.
and like this whole other self seems to emerge and blossom, what are
Yeah.
some of the things you've seen be the shift? Because we want to let people know it isn't all that you're stuck in the vat, the pit of no energy and exhaustion and
Yeah.
fatigue and trudging along and oh my god, my life is awful. What's on the other side of that? What are some of the things that you've seen that, or you personally have experienced with this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll just first answer the first question, what I've seen other people go through. And I started to really think about this and I realized that people go through when we work together, it's 5 stages. And the first is decoding, where we're figuring out what are your root causes, what health foundations need addressing. And then the second one is calibration, seeing what works with your body, because you and I, we have big, deep, wide toolkits. I mean, we've been practicing for a really long time. We're naturopaths. We know pharmaceuticals, we know botanicals, we know homeopathy. Like the whole thing is there for us to share with people. But what's going to work with you, with the person sitting in front of you? What's going to work with them? What's going to resonate with their body? So calibrating the treatment plan to match them so it's individualized, because that's part. And then you get into the third phase, which is that empowered self-care, where you know what you're treating, you know which tools work with your body, and then you can start working on the thing. It's like, okay, I know how to build this thing now. You got your Lego kit, you got the instructions, and now you just got to build the thing, right? And it's kind of fun to work on it. And at that point, I usually see people saying, Dr. Jenny, the floor is being raised. There's a shift. I can feel like something's different. But we know they're not out of the woods yet. Exactly. But not yet out of the woods. If you go back to, eating birthday cake, doing all the things, then go get back into the stress, all the stuff. You might slip back down the slippy slide. The next phase, if people want to go, there's what I call deep cognizance, where you get to do the deeper work. And this is something that I think people jump in too quickly often. It's where you've cleaned the house and now you're going to pull stuff out of the closet and unload that box that's been there for 20 years. And this may be a deep detoxification, which I think too many people jump into, and then they have a reaction to it, especially if they have mast cell activation. And then it's like, oh no, that was a bad move. You need to get those tools in your toolkit first and know how to help yourself if you're having a flare. Yeah.
So mast cell activation, please describe that because not everyone who's listening is going to know that. I know what you're talking about, but it's
Yeah,
history.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead. How would they know
Yeah.
if they had
So
mast cell activation?
mast cell activation is when your immune system, part of your immune system, have these cells called mast cells, or part of your white blood cells. And they are really the sentinels, and they live out, they're all over your body, all throughout your tissue. But I sort of think of them as sentinels and kind of being out. And a lot of them are an interface between your blood vessels and your nerves. And they're there to protect us, to attack from foreign invaders. What happens with mast cell activation syndrome is that they're hyperreactive. It's like having that sentinel, that guard out there that, sees a spider and pulls out its gun. It's like, it's just overreacting all the time. And
That's a big reaction.
yeah, yeah, but that's what we're seeing, and we're seeing it more and more. COVID virus seems to be turning on mast cell activation for a lot of people. So a lot of people that have very bizarre symptoms, hot flashing, fatigue, itchy skin, rashes, just bizarre stuff. And especially if you're one of those people that I can't take anything or I react to it, could be mast cell activation. There's a lot of pieces to it. So
Okay, great. Thanks for explaining that. All right, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Where was I?
You were talking about the things that people will experience and what's on the other side was the
Oh
broader
yeah, yeah, yeah.
category of
Thank
like
you.
what's the
Thank you.
plus, what's the positives
Yeah.
ones as you're
So,
healing,
yeah.
what's going
So
to
you're doing
happen.
the deep dive, level 4 of the deep cognizance, and working on that piece. And and this is where, sometimes it's deep emotional subconscious work. Sometimes it's, really working on that, really deep. And there's another virus, there's another thing. It's like whatever that is. Usually after this stage, when you really clear stuff out, Then people go into the fifth stage, which is this, it's like this power presence. It's like, this is when you get to re-identify with who you really are. And it's in this phase that I have seen people make massive changes in their life. I had this one patient who had been sick for over a decade, was in a marriage that she stayed in because she was afraid if she left, she'd be houseless. And she could only be on the couch. He would often get very mad at her because she wasn't doing the housework. And we started working together, and she worked through all these different stages and realized that, one, she needed to become more in her own power in the relationship and started speaking up for herself in the relationship and worked on working on the relationship. She also realized that she loved art. And long story short, she ended up leaving that relationship, going through a divorce, realized that it just wasn't going to work out, even though she tried. And now she is living on her own, working this 30-hour-week job and doing beautiful artwork, and is so incredibly happy and totally has her life back. And for her, it was getting the diet and her gut healed up. It was working on the chronic viruses that were stuck in her body. And then we did a couple of subconscious sessions where she really did some deep work with her inner child. And she was able to feel this love that she had been missing from early on. And that was just one of those really powerful opening experiences for her. And between doing all those different pieces, she just blossomed into this whole other person. It's very beautiful to see.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That's so affirming, when you're able to help someone unlock their true self that
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
so thank you for the work you do, because what a positive, tangible impact that's having. Thank you so much. I appreciate you as a colleague. And I
yeah,
hope anybody listening here, this story resonates, or someone who has been struggling with their energy, with fatigue, please share it. And the other thing I want to say is, if you're listening and this is creating ahas for you, I hope you can have some amount of empathy for others if this isn't necessarily your journey. Because, when someone at a foundational level, at a root cause level, doesn't feel well, and the way it's showing up for them is that their energy is gone, it's vanished. It affects every piece of life. It's like a spider web. It's got,
Mhm.
its own strands, and, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's real. They're not making that up. I think too
yeah.
often people get blamed for things rather than helped.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think a dose of compassion everywhere. I'm always amazed at the people that come in to my clinic. As a physician, I'm blessed, and we're blessed because people put so much trust in us and we hear their stories. And there are people that, the truth is, you don't know what somebody's going through when you see them on the street. You have no idea. You don't know what's going on. And so I think choosing compassion
Yeah,
is
yeah.
good. And for sure, if somebody says they're tired, they're tired.
They're tired. People don't always wear their feelings on their sleeves. And as you were saying earlier, with the idea of trauma perhaps being a root issue, that people don't always feel safe enough to show their true self, which would include that exhaustion.
Yeah, yeah,
That's quite
absolutely.
real. That's quite real.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What are some things you would like people to do when they're in that mode of self advocacy, or if they're trying to advocate for others? What are some tips that you can guide people to be aware of so they feel like, okay, I've got my toolkit, I've listened to this podcast, what would I be doing next? Because if they are listening here and they're like, "Oh, my energy, whether or not they have diabetes, whether or not they have chronic fatigue, whether or not they have long
Mhm,
COVID, if this
mhm,
is resonating with them, there's something happening for them at that energy
mhm,
level."
mhm. Yeah. So if you're just hearing this for the first time and you're thinking, I wonder, I would just look at your basics. Are you sleeping well at night? Have you done all the great things to get your sleep in order? Are you staying hydrated? Are you keeping your blood sugar balanced throughout your day? I mean, those things are huge in terms of keeping your energy. And what are you doing with your mindset? Are you letting your mind have some moments of calm and peace and joy? Do you have a way of just kind of re-regulating your nervous system? We all need that help right now. So many of us are dysregulated. It's hard. There's a lot happening in the world right now. So, what are you doing? What's your thing that can calm you down? Is it dancing? Is it singing? Is it listening to music? Is it being in nature? Is it deep breaths? Like, what is it that you can do that can always bring yourself back in to yourself, and practice that throughout the day? If you're doing all that stuff, or you've done that, or you just do that for a few weeks and you're still not noticing a shift in your energy, then it's time to do something else.
Okay.
If you haven't already seen your primary care, go there just to be sure there aren't any elephants in the room. Have them run the basic labs. Make sure you're not anemic. There's not cancer. There's sort of the cancer to anemia spectrum that can cause fatigue. And we want to be sure it's not like the simple thing of anemia or this complex thing of cancer that could be leading to fatigue. Or do you have, a massive blood sugar issue that you need help with? So it's like cover the basics. If you're getting the, gee, you look great and your labs are all normal thing, have a nice day. And inside of you something else, then you need to keep knocking on doors. You just need to keep knocking on doors.
Yeah.
And you need to find someone who you resonate with, who understands and gets what you're saying and is willing to look deeper into what's going on, because there's a different way of looking at lab values. An example is when I pull a CBC on somebody, looking at their red and white blood cells. A normal value is anything above 3 for white blood cells. But if I'm seeing white blood cells below 5, it's already triggered in my head a suspicion about having a chronic viral infection in that person. And so that's just one case in point where somebody could say, you're all normal. Looks great, but somebody else might look at those very same labs and go, there's something else we need to look at here. We need to do some follow-up work here.
Yeah.
So you need to find somebody who's willing to do that more extensive look, and don't give up. Keep going. I don't care how many doors you have to knock on. There is an answer for you. There's a way that you can get your body to trigger the healing response and get your body back into balance. It's not a pill. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. It's a journey, yet it does happen.
All right, great. Thank you for that. That was a clear answer. So folks, stay encouraged, stay curious, and keep working to get the results you so richly deserve, because, no one person or discipline necessarily may have all the answers. Sometimes you'll find one person who is that wizard for you, and that's great. Meanwhile, if you've been kind of poo-pooed along, what's going on, right? Right? Told, and so to me, it's like, oh, what they're really saying is, I don't know how to help you versus there's no help for you. Those are very different things.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly. So if your doctor says, I'm sorry, we don't know how to treat this, what they really refilter that and say, what they're saying is, I'm sorry, I don't know how to treat this.
A much more accurate statement and a humble statement, Yeah. It's just so interesting, being alive in the world today. I tell you, we've never had, as a human species, more information access and more nonsense access than today. And trying to sort between them.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a full-time job all by itself, what's fact, what's fiction.
It is. And I think that there's also a piece around where there's a thing I call soundbite medicine, where, people are trying to figure out a way to make a soundbite that gets your attention if you're listening. But that soundbite medicine, when you're dealing with a human body that's so complex, it doesn't work. You've got to go deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to go deeper. That way you can uncover the true you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
All right. Dr. Jenny Tufenkian, thank you so much for being my guest here on the Reverse Diabetes Podcast. I appreciate you, the woman that you are, the work you do in this world, and your own point of view. I'm glad you've been able to get your own health back on track. What a difference that makes. I think it is beyond brave that you took on naturopathic medical school and motherhood along with all the other things at the same time. Wow. That's a lot. But you did it. So yay. And we're all lucky. We're all the better for it. So thank you so much. Dr. Jenny, where can people find you? We'll put all this information in the show notes, obviously. But if you just want to say your website now or social media, whichever you would prefer.
Sure. The best is to go to the website. It's drjennytufenkian.com. So that's drjennytufenkian.com.
All right, great. And friends, check out the show notes. We'll put all the other information and deets there so you can connect with Dr. Jenny. All right. Thank you, my dear. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you so much and all the work you do. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Reverse Diabetes Podcast. I hope that you're walking away with new insights and the encouragement to take your next best step. If this episode helped you, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone that you know. Before you go, don't forget to download your free copy of the Guide to the Yates Protocol, 5 Steps to Fix Your Blood Sugar and Reverse Type 2 Diabetes Naturally. It's the same proven framework I've used to help thousands of people get real results without extreme diets or expensive medication. Check the link in the description below to grab your copy and take your first step toward better blood sugar control today. Until next time, stay consistent, stay hopeful, and keep moving forward. Remember, this is about progress, not perfection.